In this video, we're going over how to increase your level of consciousness. This could be one of the most important things you ever learn because your consciousness level is going to dictate how you move through life. It's going to dictate your emotional state for the most part. It's going to dictate how you treat people, how you treat yourself, and how you treat the world. So raising this, becoming aware of this, in my eyes, is one of the most important things you can do. That's coming up next. First off, guys, this is HeartSpace. My name is Dave, and on this channel, we release daily videos to help you expand your awareness, consciousness, and of course, live more from your heart. So if you love videos on spirituality, practicality, self-development, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss our daily videos. Now, like I said, I want to be going over how you can raise your consciousness. Consciousness is such an important topic in my eyes because for such a long time, the world has been in a very low consciousness. People coming from consciousness levels of greed, hate, jealousy, and lower level consciousness levels that have caused people to treat people in bad ways, that have caused us to fight amongst each other, to cause us to feel incredibly separate when really there's way more that connects us than there are things that separate us. And so in this video, I'm going to be going over what the different levels of consciousness are, how you can move up that scale. Let's get into it. So you can actually think of the different levels of consciousness in 4 stages. Now, if you actually read Power versus Force, or you look at the consciousness map that came out of that book, you can see there's way more specifics from a scale of 0 to 1,000 on the consciousness scale. For example, at the lower levels of 0 and around 0 to 30, it's like shame and guilt, to the upper levels of transcendence or enlightenment, which is when you get to 1,000. Now, very few people ever get to that point. We're talking about the level of like Jesus Christ, the Buddha, people of that nature who would be up there. But if you get to the level of 600, it's actually the level of love. So by getting to that level, you'll be in an incredible place where you're just radiating love, you love yourself, you love others. And if more people were like that, I think we would just live on a better planet. And raising consciousness, that is why it's such an important topic. Anyway, you can think of consciousness in these 4 stages instead of that map, although you can look that up as well. The first, and this is from Dr. Michael Beckwith, is the consciousness level of to me. The consciousness level after that is by me. The consciousness level after that is through me. And then the final one is as me. So we'll explain each one. The consciousness level that most people are on, unfortunately, is the first one. And that is to me. Now, to me is essentially the victim mentality consciousness. This is the consciousness of thinking everything happens to you. All these bad things happen to you. This person's screwing you over. You're not in control. Everything happens to you. This is what level people who are under 200 on the consciousness scale usually fall into. These are the people who are feeling shame, feeling guilt, feeling depressed, feeling jealousy, feeling hate, anger, malice, aggressiveness. These levels of consciousness are almost always in a to me level, and it's the lowest level you can be in. Of course, there are different tiers to me. Like I said, you can look at that consciousness map. If you look it up, just go Power versus Force consciousness map or consciousness scale, and it will show you that. But the first stage is to me, where you're playing the victim. And again, I think you know why this is not a good place to be. Because always blaming things outside of you instead of taking responsibility and going inward and allowing yourself to start creating the life that you want is never going to be a good strategy. Because as you're sitting there just blaming the world for everything, you're not doing things to, one, improve yourself, which would then improve the people around you, which would then improve the world. A win-win-win situation. When you're in these lower levels of to me, you're essentially in a lose-lose-lose situation because you're not coming from a very good place, which means you're affecting the people around you probably pretty negatively, which also means you're contributing to the world in a fairly negative way. So that's the stage we don't want to be in. Now, the next stage is the stage where most self-development and motivation, get it done, hustle energy is at. And this stage is a lot better than to me, and it's called by me. This is where you think everything's got to be done by me, that it's just, I'm the lone wolf, I got to make it happen, I got to go grind, I got to motivate, I have all these desires, I want to manifest all these things, whatever it is, but this is actually still below the level of 200. In fact, there is only one level of by me that's above 200, and that is the level of courage. This is the last level of by me, and after courage, you actually move into through me. But by me is where most people are. Now, don't get me wrong, by me is so much more advanced than to me. Because again, to me is just sitting there and saying, you know, poor me, poor me, poor me, all this crap happens to me. By me is when that person wakes up and goes, you know what? Fine, all this stuff happened to me, but I'm not gonna let that affect me. I'm gonna go out there and make things happen. And that's not a bad energy to be in. But it's also not as good as through me. And through me is essentially flowing with the river. Through me, by me is basically swimming up the river, and you're trying to accomplish things, and you're struggling, and you're hustling, and you're having sleepless nights, and you're really just struggling against the current. Now again, it's better than just being stuck on a rock in this to me state, going like, oh my God, my life sucks and everything happens to me. I'm stuck on this rock. The water keeps hitting me in this weird way. It's too cold here. This guy screwed me over. Oh, look at that guy floating down effortlessly. Screw that guy. He was born that way. You know, whatever it is. That's like the to me type mentality. So in the by me, you're more in the struggle against life. You are resisting the universe, you are resisting life and kind of trying to swim upstream. And again, you can actually accomplish a few things in by me. You can accomplish a lot because you're going upstream, but you're making it, you're going up that stream, and you're maybe acquiring a bit of money, you know, some other things that you want, but you're always going to be in kind of that struggle mode. Then there's through me. This is when you surrender to the universe, you let go, and you stop trying to control the things you cannot control. Because one of the things we do in by me is we try and control things we can't. Whether that's people, circumstances, we get stressed out about things when we really shouldn't be stressed out about anything for the most part. We get worried about a lot of things, we get paranoid. And that's us swimming up the stream. We're like, I can't let anyone else take the reins here. Do you love my swimming motion here? It's absolutely professional. But you can't, you know, you're up here, you're swimming, you're like, I don't need any help. I got this on my own. I'm going to swim up this stream. You know what? I'm not going to let, you know, I need to do it. It has to be me. Right? And you're going up that stream. You have pride. Also, pride is actually on the consciousness level of 175, again, below 200, but it's one of the biggest by me levels of consciousness, pride. And that's that person swimming up that stream who's just like, nobody help me. I got this. I'm the breadwinner. I'm the one who makes it happen. It's all about me. Let's go. Right? But then once you start to move into through me, something happens. You begin to let go. You stop struggling up this stream. You're exhausted, you're tired, you need a rest, and finally you burn out and you just float down the stream. And there's a few rocks, but the universe just guides you around those rocks. And then you go back into by me and you hit a rock and you go back up the stream. But you let go again, you float down that stream. And through me, you are still doing things. Don't get me wrong. It's not that you're not putting in work, but now you're being guided. You're now doing things from your heart, from the universe, from your intuition. Now, instead of doing those things that you didn't really want to do, but people told you had to do to be successful, you've let go, you've listened to the universe, and the universe has told you, you don't need to do any of that. What excites you? What lights a fire in your heart? What would you wake up and do? And you've probably heard this a lot. What would you do if money were no object? It's one of my favorite questions to ask. What would you do if money were no object? What would be effortless? Like, you put in a lot of work to do it, but you're doing it and enjoying it so much that at the end of the day, you can't believe that you get to do this thing. And if you're getting paid to do it, which is like the perfect mix of everything, you're getting paid to do the thing you love, you could be in such a gratitude state that you're like, I can't believe that I get to do this thing I love and it makes a living and I make all this money from it. I get to contribute to the world doing this thing I love. That is through me. Now, how much better does that sound than swimming up the stream? To be able to float and work with life instead of against it. Because guess what? You're in a co-creative process with the universe. That means half of it is to you, half of it is to the universe. Yeah, you have to show up. You have to take the action. You have to think the good thoughts. You have to say certain things. You have to go out there and do things. Most people who are into me don't do that. That's the problem. They get into by me because finally they understand the first half of co-creation, which is they have to do something. That gets you into by me. But the thing with by me and what most people get stuck in is they forget that there's a whole other side to this co-creative process, and they start trying to do the things that it's actually the universe's job to do. Now, I'm not the universe, or maybe I am, but who do you think, or what do you think is better at doing the universal job You or the universe? Who do you think is going to arrange your life in a better way? The universe, when you give it all the information, you're taking certain action and you're staying out of its way, or when you're trying to come in and be like, universe, I got this. I'm going up the stream. I see something up there. I think it's going to be better than whatever you're taking me to down there because that's scary. I can't see what you're taking me to. Essentially, you're not trusting the universe. This is the thing, guys. When you try and control things that you cannot control, and let's make it clear, when you're swimming up the stream, you're literally trying to control things that you have no control over anyway. But when you're doing that, you're missing out on so much the universe is taking you towards. You're missing out on so much that in the background, the universe is cooking up, but you're essentially going up to that pot the universe is cooking the thing in and throwing your own shit in there, going like, no, this will be better, this will be better. Get out of here, universe. I know how to cook better than you. What do you think is going to be the better finished product? The one where you and the universe come together in unity and create this beautiful dream, vision, and reality of your life, or the one where it's just got to be all about you, you got to make it happen, you seize the reins for the things you can't even control, and you stifle the process by, the universe is making a stew and you're putting all this crap in there, and then you just get this sludge that comes out and you wonder what happened. You wonder why you burned out. You wonder why you took a huge financial hit. You wonder why you got in that accident. You wonder why that person left you. You wonder why people who just seem to have this good energy don't want to be around you or be friends with you. The biggest step that most people have to take in the levels of consciousness is from by me to through me. But it is also one of the most profound steps you can take. Because when you stop coming from an energy of separateness, which is what by me is, it's separate. I'm going to swim up the stream. No, I'm not going to surrender. I'm not letting you take the reins for the part that you can only take the reins on anyway. I'm going to resist, despite my resistance only making things worse, because I'm separate. If you can understand that you're in a co-creative process, that we are more connected and unified than you would ever know, that at our core we are all the same, and you can surrender to that, again, do the things you are inspired and excited to do. Do the things that when you think about them on a scale of 1 to 10 about how excited you are to do them or how much in your heart they are, and they're 10s, you do those 10s. But guess what happens when you start to do the 10s? The things that you thought were important when you were in by me start to fall off, and you start to realize, wow, that thing I was doing in by me is actually a 4 and a 5, and it's actually wasting my time, even though I spent so much time swimming up the stream to do that thing. But now that I'm in through me, I've actually identified that there's only a few things I need to be doing and I want to do. They're all 10s. And now this incredible stuff's coming into my life because the universe is working with me or I should say I'm working with the universe instead of working against the universe, against God, or whatever you want to call it. And this video is actually not gone according to my plan. Again, I've actually allowed the universe in this thing. I've allowed myself to get in the flow and kind of tap into that creative side and that inspirational side, because I was actually just going to give you all the levels and then go over how to get into the next one. But we've kind of I've just let this flow, again, allowing myself to flow down the river to where this is taking me. And I think for that, it's going to be much more powerful. So I'm actually going to leave it there. Again, we can talk about ASME, but ASME is something, honestly, I don't even want. ASME is essentially monk level awareness, where you give up materialism, where you give up anything from the earth, anything materialistic, and you essentially live in a constant state of bliss, meditation, things of that nature. This is the Jesus Christ level. This is the level where you are walking around and you are essentially the universe in human form. Now that sounds nice and everything, but again, you're gonna have to give up every social convenience. You're gonna have to give up a lot of stuff to do that. And I know personally, I'm not done operating on the plane of through me or operating on the plane of being in the material realm and playing and having fun with this game to wanna do that. Maybe one day I'll be like, I want to become a monk and that's how I want to live the rest of my existence in this game. I want to move up to that level of ASME or whatever it is. But for me, through me is where the world's headed. And I hope most people are headed. And so if you can come from by me to through me, your life is going to change so much. And also, one thing to leave you with before I end the video is understand that even a little bit jump up in consciousness is a win. Don't try and go from to me to through me. You have to go from to me to a higher level of to me to a by me to a higher level of by me. It's easier to go up 10 points on the consciousness scale than to try and transcend to 300 points. And again, if you want to know what each of those levels are, you can look at the consciousness scale, look up power versus force consciousness scale. And one thing about that, guys, I think we can all agree, it's much better to be angry in the level of angry or in the level of pride than it is to be at the level of depression or guilt or shame. And that's why moving up any level is an accomplishment, and you just keep going from there. All right, so if you find yourself in to me, just work on getting into a by me and then working to get into a through me. If you're in by me and you feel like it's time that you evolve to a higher consciousness, then you work on the things that are going to help you get into through me. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys, because this is turning into a bit of a rant, and I could talk about, honestly, this stuff for hours. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I love you guys. Make sure you are commenting down below your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next video.